Did you know that earning just one extra dollar could disqualify you from critical benefits? I still remember the day almost 15 years ago when we found out that my husband was making a dollar and change over the limit for SNAP benefits. In one fell swoop, we lost over $100 in food benefits a month over a measly extra dollar in his paycheck. It was a disaster for our family at that time. Now, if you found yourself in a similar situation, you can thank the federal poverty level for that. That's the measurement that the government uses to determine whether you qualify for food assistance, Medicaid, and so much more. But what exactly is the federal poverty level? How is it calculated? And most importantly, is it actually fair? Because let's be honest, most of us know that making a few extra dollars doesn't necessarily mean that we can suddenly afford rent, groceries, and gas without struggling. We're going to talk about all those questions here today. But first things first, what is the federal poverty level? This is the magic number that the government's official measurement of poverty is based on. It's updated every year, and it's used by federal and state programs to decide who qualifies for benefits. Most programs that are based on the federal poverty level use a percentage. Sometimes it's 100%, sometimes it's 150%, sometimes it's 200%. I've seen programs with eligibility requirements up to 5 times or 500% of the federal poverty level in my research. But why do these programs use these multipliers, and how is it even calculated? That's where it gets complicated, because the FPL is based on a formula from the 1960s. It was created by an economist named Molly Orshansky, who figured out that the average family back then spent about 1/3 of their income on food. So she set the poverty line at 3 times the cost of a basic food budget. Now, let's pause for a second. Does that make sense to you today? Because in most households, food is not the biggest expense anymore. Don't get me wrong, food is still ridiculously expensive. But rent, childcare, healthcare, these things eat up way more of our budgets now. And yet the government still bases the poverty line on this outdated food formula. That's why a lot of people argue that the FPL is too low to reflect real poverty in America. And that's really frustrating. But the good news is that some of these programs that we're going to talk about will let you earn a multiple of the federal poverty level and still qualify. It's okay if you're over 100% in a lot of cases. For SNAP, you usually have to make 130% or less, although some states have set those limits higher. Medicaid is usually around 138% of the federal poverty level, but some programs like LIHEAP will accept incomes up to 200% of the federal poverty level, and other programs by nonprofits like cancer treatment grants can go up to 300%, sometimes even 500% of the federal poverty level. That would be $78,250 for a single person. But again, here's the kicker, right? Even a single dollar of income can push you over that limit and disqualify you. That's why a lot of people fall into what's called the benefits cliff, where they make too much to qualify for help, but not enough to actually be financially stable. Some states and programs are starting to recognize this problem and have introduced step-down assistance to help people transition off benefits more gradually. Instead of cutting you off completely all at once, these programs lower your benefits in stages as your income increases, or they give you a certain amount of time to help taper down those benefits. For example, some child care assistance programs reduce your subsidy as you earn more instead of just cutting it off all at once. Some Medicaid expansion programs let you stay covered by paying a small premium as your income grows, rather than just kicking you off immediately. And a few states have even experimented with gradual reductions in SNAP benefits to prevent families from losing hundreds of dollars in food assistance overnight. Now, unfortunately, step-down assistance isn't available everywhere, and many programs still operate with harsh income cutoffs. But the fact that some areas are making changes shows that people are paying attention to how unfair the system can be. That's why some programs are moving away from using the federal poverty level and instead are using the area median income, or AMI. Why? Because AMI is based on the actual cost of living in your area. While the FPL is a flat number across the entire country, except for Alaska and Hawaii, the AMI is a lot more tailored to your area. If you'd like a deep dive on how AMI works and how to find out your local AMI, just drop the comment AMI below and I'll cover that in a future video for you. But if you think about it this way, $15,650 a year might be barely enough to survive in a small town somewhere, but in a big city like New York, Los Angeles, or Seattle, that's going to be impossible. That's why housing programs like Section 8 tend to use AMI instead. It just makes more sense. With AMI, your eligibility isn't based on an outdated one-size-fits-all number. Instead, it's compared to the average income where you actually live. That means that programs using AMI tend to help more people in high-cost areas, while FPL-based programs can leave them out. So, which system do you think is fairer? Have you ever been denied help because of an outdated income limit? Let's talk about it in the comments. And if you need help navigating these programs, check out lowincomerelief.com for more details on how to maximize your benefits. And don't forget to check out our other videos for more ways to save money and get free stuff.